Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well today. Let's have a chat about what the fuck is going on with Ezra Miller. Star of the hit TV show The Flash, maybe you've seen him in a few other movies like Perks of Being a Wallflower or Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. If you only know Ezra from these movies, you may not have heard that I'm gonna get all the pronouns wrong in this video, so forgive me from the start, but Ezra does not, in fact, identify as a man nor a woman. In 2018, oh my gosh, okay. I'm just going to say he, okay? All right? We're going to stick with that. He stated that he identifies as barely even human and is now using the pronouns they, them. And while I can't say if the two of these things are linked or not, it appears that since his announcement in 2018, Miller's life has gone straight off the frickin' deep end. In fact, currently, headlines are stating he is on the run from police after kidnapping a teenager. To which I tweeted out in response, one of Hollywood's first they-thems has now kidnapped a teenager and is on the run. Can I use the word groomer now? Or are we still pretending that's a crazy conservative myth? Now, I've received a lot of criticism for this tweet. Some people pointing out, Lauren, the girl is 18. It's hardly kidnapping or grooming. Others saying, Lauren, Ezra's gender identity has absolutely nothing to do with his alleged crimes. It's bad faith to link these two things. And I truly wish my critics were correct, but sadly, Ezra's radical progressive politics has almost everything to do with this story. A story which does not begin when this girl is 18, but instead when she met Miller for the first time at the age of 12. But before we get into this absolute clown world-fueled roller coaster of an adventure, I want to say a quick thank you to this channel's sponsor, Noble Gold. Over the years, you've probably tried different investments in stocks and mutual funds, so you know they can be up and down, all over the place. But with inflation running at 8.5%, its highest rate for 40 years, do you really need uncertainty in your life? Being able to sleep at night knowing your investments aren't about to crash is worth its weight in gold. And speaking of gold, if you've been jumping from one investment idea to the next, a gold IRA with Noble Gold is perfect for you. With gold, you shield your gains from taxes, you keep the real value of your wealth, you own a global asset, something tangible, and you protect your wealth against an economic crash. What is not to like? And this month, for every cash deal above $20K, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin completely free as a thank you. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call 877-646-5347 now, or find out more by visiting noblegoldinvestments.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Let's start from square one. Ezra Miller has always been a bit strange. Hell, he started his career playing a kid who murdered a bunch of his classmates with a crossbow in the film We Need to Talk About Kevin, and has had his child star run-ins with police once or twice. But as mentioned earlier, after coming out as non-binary, things seem to really go off the rails for Ezra. Not just a DUI here and there, but a video was actually released in 2020 of Miller choking out a young woman at a bar in Iceland, after which he was escorted from the premises. Since then, Miller has only gotten more and more violent and confrontational, even publicly flaunting this trend. Just this January, Miller posted a video saying KKK members need to kill themselves, and if they don't do it, he'll do it for them.
Hi, this is Ezra Miller. This is a message for the Beulahville chapter of the North Carolina Ku Klux Klan. It's me. Look, if y'all want to die, I suggest just killing yourselves with your own guns. Okay? Otherwise, keep doing exactly what you're doing right now, and you know what I'm talking about. And then, we'll do it for you if that's really what you want. Okay, talk to you soon, okay? Bye!
I'm no fan of the KKK, but I'm pretty sure murder is still illegal, no matter how much you dislike someone. Fast forward to the 27th of March, 2022, and he's getting himself arrested in Hawaii, charged with disorderly conduct, and harassment after confronting and lunging at other patrons at a karaoke bar. A few days after that, on the 29th, the couple who were living with Miller at a hostel filed for a restraining order against the guy, claiming that after the karaoke bar incident, he returned home, stole their things, and told them, "I will bury you and your slut wife." A judge obviously granted them their order. Fast forward only another few weeks, April 19th this year, and Miller is taken into custody yet again in Hawaii for throwing a chair at a 26-year-old woman who was left with a half-inch cut in her forehead. 2022 is just not Ezra Miller's year. He is getting arrested constantly. And I know, so far everything I've mentioned doesn't really have to do with his gender identity or politics, but if you watch his arrest videos, your mind might change on that.
I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man. I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights. Myself when I get assaulted for NFT crypto art. What's your name? What's your badge number? Tell me your name and your badge number.
What key?
Ezra.
Full name, full badge number.
Complying. Well, you the one that complying.
I was. You said get off the road. I got off the road.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you
I
never.
walked on the edge of the road.
Central 131-150.
So what did I do wrong?
Getting arrested for
You
spit in somebody's
Okay, a
face.
guy in that bar declared himself as a Nazi. I have it on film, and he attacked me.
Okay.
Unlawful. Hey, you just touched my penis. Please don't do that. I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man.
Sorry, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm not a sir. I'm transgender, non-binary. Please never put me as sir. It's not a man right here.
Okay. No, I was just trying to be respectful.
If you fail to do that again, that is an act of intentional bigotry, and it is a technical hate crime according to U.S. federal law. Please call me they, them, theirs. You can use the term mix.
Ezra obviously does not represent every single LGBTQ community member, just as he doesn't represent all men or all people of his ethnicity. It is, however, worthwhile to note, Ezra, like seemingly many other progressives today, feels his gender identity is basically a get-out-of-jail free card. While the police are quite politely attempting to search and take Ezra to the station, the Star continually brings up their transgender and non-binary status, even claiming that the police are potentially committing a federal hate crime by saying "sir" and then apologizing and correcting themselves. It's so obvious that Ezra is using their gender identity as a social bludgeon to regain power over the situation. And this trend doesn't stop here, which brings us to this week in June, where the chaos has gone well beyond a few rowdy drunk fights and into full-on accusations of grooming and kidnapping. June 8th, the parents of an 18-year-old activist named Gibson Iron Eyes from the Standing Rock tribe came out and accused Ezra Miller of grooming their child. The documents, which TMZ got a hold of, are from the Standing Rock Tribal Court and seek an intervention alleging Miller has been involved with their child since Gibson was 12 and that the two met while they were both protesting for the land back reclamation movement in 2016, stating Ezra, who was 23 at the time, took an immediate liking to their 12-year-old daughter. And there's actually some pretty solid proof for this. Gibson Iron Eyes used to be named Takata Iron Eyes before becoming non-binary transgender. According to Takata's parents, Miller was the crux for this identity change. And you can actually find articles and evidence of Takata and Miller's meetings before Takata became Gibson and ran away with the Star. While this isn't necessarily documentation from their first meeting in 2016, an interview between a 14-year-old Takata and Ezra was published August 16, 2018 in Sleek magazine, where they discussed the protests that they met at, and where Takata is, once again, still a 14-year-old child doing an interview on politics with Ezra Miller for whatever reason. In fact, the parents allege Takata was flown out to London before this Sleek magazine interview in 2017 to meet with Ezra on the set of Fantastic Beasts, a movie series which she was a huge fan of. The parents claim things went sideways when they discovered he attempted to sleep in the same bed as the 14-year-old girl, gave her alcohol, marijuana, and LSD on this trip when she came to visit. Over the years, Miller stayed in contact with Takata, even offering to pay for her schooling at age 16, And eventually in December 2021, the parents alleged that Miller convinced her to drop out of her private school, at which point she took off and began traveling with the older man. Obviously, being decent and sane parents, they flew to Miller's home to go find where their teenage daughter was and discovered her at his residence without her driver's license, her car keys, her bank card, or any other items she would have needed to navigate her life independently. Obviously, sending up some red flags for those parents. The couple are seriously terrified for their daughter and essentially just state that Ezra has been involved in flying around to visit Gibson, Takata, ever since, well before she was 18. And it's only now that Gibson is properly 18 years old that they're traveling together publicly, even being spotted at clubs in Hawaii together, in videos published by TMZ. And yes, Takata was there for all of those events where he was having manic arrest episodes in Hawaii, which gives a lot more weight to Takata's parents' ultimate conclusion that they told the courts, which was Ezra uses violence, intimidation, threat of violence, fear, paranoia, delusions, and drugs to hold sway over a young adolescent Takata. Now, here's where shit gets really weird, and also why Ezra's gender identity is not totally separate from these grooming allegations. Of course, you have your regular old creepy Hollywood pedos all over the place. Straight, gay, right-wing, left-wing, doesn't matter. But when it comes to Ezra's alleged grooming, although it's looking pretty confirmed if you ask me, there is a clear political and ideological slant in everything he is saying and doing. In fact, think back to that video from earlier this year of Miller saying he's going to kill the KKK. Takata's parents actually allege that Miller transported a supply of firearms and ammunition from Vermont to North Carolina in January for a potential confrontation with the KKK, and claim to this day their daughter is paranoid about the KKK surveilling them, tracking them, and genuinely believes her and Ezra are on some sort of Ku Klux Klan hit list. Not only are the KKK entirely federal agents today, the only real ones left likely need their 12-year-old nephew to assist them in logging into their Hotmail accounts. There is no elite KKK surveillance unit. But from what Ezra Miller has said publicly, it does appear he is having serious politically based delusions. He's said publicly he wants to kill the KKK. He thinks the police misgendering him and apologizing is a federal hate crime. If you watch his arrest footage, he actually accuses the random patrons he got into a confrontation with at the karaoke bar of being Nazis. Ezra thinks he's barely human and has transcended gender. He's spending all of his time hanging around an underage far-left activist who is now under the impression that they are genderless too. And Takata, or Gibson, whatever their name is, when confronted and asked to give some sort of public statement about what the hell is going on here, in their statement, they unironically refer to Ezra as their comrade. In their statement, saying there's nothing strange, nothing weird going on here, don't worry about it, they refer to Ezra and other acquaintances as their comrade. I mean, at this point, even the lefties who support Takata's protests and activism have almost entirely filled the comments section on her posts with concerns for the 18-year-old's safety. Kudos to her parents for fighting for their kid and not giving up. Others pointing out that in Takata's follow-up statement, she seems actively high on drugs. And at this point, you may be wondering, what is Ezra Miller's response to all of this controversy? Bro literally just posted a myriad of memes suggesting that they're gone in another dimension. Pretty easy to assume where that dimension is. A crack house or a hotel room somewhere where this nearly 30-year-old man is high out of his mind with a teenager. Ezra's behavior is not just linked to his gender identity or politics. Ezra is directly using politics to groom a child. Using activism for Indigenous rights at Standing Rock to meet Takata, using his fame and platform to interview Takata about gender identity and activism while she was underage. portraying some grand leftist vision of the world that must be fought for, in which the KKK are still a real threat and violence must be used against them, having delusions about people in bars that confront him about erratic behavior being Nazis. But unfortunately, the crazy doesn't end there, because this is where things get really dark. It truly appears as though Takata has bought into all of Ezra's delusions as well. And it shouldn't surprise you, a young, impressionable child who meets a star. She meets this star, she's enamored with him, and he starts telling her all this stuff about the world, all the stuff about gender politics, all the fight they need to go on, and she believes him, of course. Of course she does, she's a child. Any reasonable person, I think, could say there's at least something strange going on here with Ezra and Takata. Simply the fact that a nearly 30-year-old man is in some sort of relationship with an 18-year-old that he's been friends with since she was 12, and she's now cut off from communication with her parents? Yeah, don't think I blame the parents for being a bit worried. Yet Takata has stated that her parents' concerns are not just unfounded, but are frankly transphobic. As mentioned earlier, straight people can be groomers. It's not an exclusively LGBTQ progressive ideology thing. However, it is becoming more and more common each day that LGBTQ status is being used as a bludgeon to shut up legitimate concerns about grooming, like the Texas club recently that held a borderline striptease drag party for children in front of a sign that said "it ain't gonna lick itself." Critics of this behavior are often called homophobic, transphobic, or bigots, just like how Takata's parents are being called transphobic by her for questioning what appears to be a very clear and legitimate case of grooming. So when leftists complain that conservatives have associated grooming with the queer community, perhaps consider that when you use a certain ideology to try to evade grooming accusations, when you try to use it as a cover, that identity is inevitably going to become associated with the word groomer. So perhaps get mad at the people doing that, not the people pointing it out. Now, one small grace in this story is that claims of transphobia from a teenager on Instagram apparently did not bother or sway the Standing Rock tribal court judge, who thankfully did in fact sign the parents' request for a protective order just the other week, which would be really great if anyone could find Takata and Ezra Miller. That's right, the star of The Flash is on the run apparently. The Bennington County Sheriff's Office in Vermont, where Miller has a home, stated that an attempt to serve an order of evaluation on Takata Iron Eyes has been made on 3 separate occasions in May, but each time officers were told by Miller that Takata wasn't there, wasn't available. So they scheduled a court hearing on July 12th at the tribal court of Fort Yates, but court officials have not been able to locate Miller since then to serve him his papers. So it's going to be a question of whether Ezra will show up to the trial date or disappear into a K-hole, with Takata being paranoid the KKK are trying to track down their location using bird drones. It's hard to say. But on a serious note, this whole story is pretty freaking messed up, and it puts on full display the problem with people assuming that they are the good guys in a story simply because they fall into a certain political box. I'm left-wing, I'm progressive, I'm trans, therefore I can literally run around throwing chairs at people, I can threaten to shoot other humans, and groom children, but so long as it's all done under the veneer of some grand leftist vision, so long as the child I'm grooming was doing activism with me at Standing Rock, and we're plotting to end the KKK, well, I'm the good guy. No, you're not. No, you're not, Ezra. And you know what? The more I read about this story, the more concerned I get that Takata's parents, what they're saying might be true, that Ezra might actually be transporting weapons and planning some sort of borderline terror activities. Lord knows if this story were about a right-wing individual, every media company would be blowing up about how this dangerous individual is on the loose. So let's just hope that this story doesn't get any darker or more violent than it already is. And I seriously hope that Takata's parents are able to get some sort of justice or help for their child in the next month or so. All we can really do is wait for that July 12th court date and see what happens. And until then, I guess I'd just ask my audience to do the only thing we can do, which is pray for Takata and her family. As always, I appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate you watching this video. I'll check out what you have to say in the comments section. Make sure to hit that like button, the bell, all that good stuff around here. Share this video with your friends and family, and I will see you all next time.